Hey, what's up, everyone? This is we're looking at the Friday slate. We have a 7-game slate for tonight. So let's get right into it. You can drop a like down below and subscribe if you have not already. Starting off here at point guard, we have Luka Doncic as your most expensive guy at 12-4. It's a fine play, great matchup, especially if Kristaps happens to be out again, or even if he's going to be limited, you could go to him. Right now, we don't have a lot of value on the slate. That's why it's tough to pay off for him right now, but as usual, we'll probably get a lot of value later in the day. I don't mind Trae Young at 10-2. Simmons, the price tag is up on Simmons. The Sixers prices are really high on Draftkings. You don't even want to look at Tobias Harris's price after he had a good game. So hopefully you played him then, because I don't think you want to play him now. Lillard looks good. His price point is really cheap, $8,500. Nice bargain there. I like Ja Morant a little bit, $8,000. His home road splits are pretty massive. It's against a very bad defensive Cleveland team. The Grizzlies play super fast. They have a high total. He looks really good, as does Chris Paul and Malcolm Brogdon. I like Brogdon right now at $7,000. I still think he's at a good price point. His minutes are going to be 32 to 34 probably in every game now, unless he's in foul trouble or just not playing well. He's pretty consistent. He does contribute in all areas of the stat sheet. It's a great matchup against the Timberwolves. Even if they get Cat back, that should help the Pacers, as they are a much better offensive team with Cat on the floor, but their defense takes a huge hit. Right now, they are a pretty good defensive team. But I think Brogdon at 7,000 is a really good play on the slate that we don't have a ton of great options that stick out right now. At shooting guard, Levine looks fine. I like DeRozan a lot. $8,100 for DeRozan is expensive, but it's worth it given how he's played and given the matchup against the Hawks. They turn the ball over at a super high clip. Could be a spot where we see the Spurs, they be able to get 10, 12 total steals, and DeRozan, if he gets a couple steals, 3, 4 steals, then that would be just a potential to have a massive game like he did the other day against Memphis. He does play pretty well in these pace-up spots, and I think it's going to be a great game for DeRozan. Van Fleet's a question mark. We'll see if he can go or not. Beal, his minutes, if we got word that he's going to see a lot of minutes, you could go to him. The price tag is down to justify the lack of minutes or the uncertainty with the minutes, so you could take a shot in tournaments. And then for value here in the mid-range, I think you could look at, there's not a ton that stick out. Maybe you could look at Kendrick Nunn if Hero's out again. I like Dylan Brooks a lot. I want to mention him a lot. I think he's going to have a big game. He's never owned. He's never very popular. But I just feel like with the way the Grizzlies have been playing, especially at home, they are looking to continue rolling against the Cleveland team. And they have Jay Crowder's questionable, so that would even open up a steady amount of minutes for Dylan Brooks. And Norman Powell as well, I would go to him. I would go to him if Van Fleet's out. If Van Fleet's in, then it's impossible to trust, especially because he'd probably come off the bench. But if Van Fleet's out, then they would probably go with a starting lineup of Lowry, Powell, Siakam, Anunoby, and Gasol. Right now, I think DeRozan looks pretty good at $8,100. Over at small forward, like I mentioned, the Sixers prices are off the page. $8,300 for Tobias. He can pay off the salary. We seen it yesterday, or the last game they played, but it's not a comfortable feeling paying this much, especially when you have Jimmy Butler cheaper, when you have Bradley Beal cheaper. I like Carmelo, $6,200, and then I like Dylan Brooks. I mentioned that I like him. He has 40-point upside at a sub 6,000 price tag. He's never popular. Grizzlies have one of the highest totals on the slate at home. Just makes a lot of sense. At power forward, Sabonis looks good at $8,600. It's a good price tag on DraftKings. I like Siakam. I would probably play Siakam even over Tobias in this matchup against Washington. He hasn't cleared 30 minutes yet, but we know with Nick Nurse, in any given day, he can give him 38 minutes with the way he plays as starters. So against Washington, he can't ask for a better matchup. Siakam has huge upside. Now that they're all healthy now, it's going to be tough for him to hit his ceiling every game, but I still think he's underpriced given the matchup at only 79. I like Collins. I love Aldridge. I like Jaren Jackson as well at only $6,800. And Markkanen looks okay just because Gafford is out, so his minutes are as secure as they've been. But I kind of do like the Spurs a little bit, especially the two big guys, the two big names, DeRozan and Aldridge. Aldridge's been bad the last couple games, but I am not going to let that deter me. Those were on the road against tough defensive teams, against Toronto and against Miami. Now it's a completely different story at home against the Hawks. At center, I like Whiteside at 84. I like Bam at 82. Siakam, Collins a little bit. But I love Valanciunas, 6,900 for Joe Val here against the Cavs. I want to get exposure to the Grizzlies in multiple ways. And I think Valanciunas could have another huge game here. Price tag is down under 7K once again. And with the way the Cleveland Cavs play with Kevin Love and Tristan Thompson, there's a great chance that we will see the high of Jonas Valanciunas' minutes here to just keep pace with Tristan Thompson. They do have Brandon Clark, who does play some, but I would think Valanciunas is going to get his 28 to 30 plus, 30 minutes here tonight. And if he's playing super well, we've seen him, doesn't even need a lot of time to put up a huge fantasy score. So it's a great matchup against Cleveland. They have been bad against centers, and I think he's at a pretty fair price point. So that's the 5 that I like, and then at guard here, I'll touch on one other one that I like. It's going to be in the mid-range right here. I think Powell, like I mentioned, looks good if Van Fleet's out. I think Satoransky looks okay, given the price tag. And Goran Dragic looks fine here. I'll actually give you guys a small forward that I like, and that's Carmelo Anthony at 62. He's been solid, been hitting 6x the last 3 games. I hope he can do that one more time. Here, he's been getting a lot of rebounds, which really upped his fantasy value. Still playing those huge minutes, still at a good price point. Don't have a lot of value right now on Draftkings, so I think Carmelo looks like a good play, but he could easily pivot off of Carmelo if we get some more cheap value. And then on Fanduel here, it's pretty similar. I like this kind of the same players I liked on both sites. I like Luka Doncic, 11,000. I like Trae Young, 10-4. Ja Morant looks good, 78. Chris Paul, Brogdon looks great, 6,800 for Brogdon. Shooting guard, I like Levine. I like DeRozan, Beal, SGA. Dylan Brooks looks great on both sides. Small forward, it's Siakam, definitely at 7,900 or 76 on FanDuel is really cheap. Tobias, Anthony. Tobias is really cheap on FanDuel. I want to go to him again. And then at power forward, it's Sabonis looks pretty good. Al Horford looks fine. The price tag has jumped on him, though. I think you could get similar production from Jaren Jackson, or even LaMarcus Aldridge is too cheap at just 6,600. I think he is incredibly underpriced. On FanDuel, they just priced him down after 2 tough games. Can easily put up 44, 45, 50 fantasy points in a great matchup against the Hawks tonight. And then at center, it's really Valanciunas jumps off the page at 65. You could play Adams at 64. And you could even play Gasol if you want at 5,000. But just Valanciunas looks great. 6,500 for him against this Cleveland frontcourt. He's been pretty steady. As a team, the Grizzlies been playing great, and I feel really good about these 5 plays. They all are pretty underpriced, and they all have pretty big ceilings. So that's what I like for DraftKings and FanDuel as of now. As always, I post the updates on Twitter at the DFS Process. So thanks for watching. I appreciate it. You can drop a like if you enjoyed, and good luck tonight.